Awkward moments happen to all of us. Some of us are able to manage them better compared to others. So, for our new body language hackers video, we will be analyzing awkward moments of famous award functions. You might be aware of these moments as they're really famous. However, today we will be covering how people in the spotlight handle these not so welcome moments from a body language perspective. My name's Aaron Scott Timms, and I'll be the host for this episode of Body Language Hackers. Once Katy Perry literally became an angel for an event. Her wings caught a lot of attention as she struggled to walk through the doors. What was even more vividly remembered by all was a woman who she almost knocked off. Katy Perry gracefully walked past her, happily posing for the cameras as if nothing ever happened. But if we observe the woman who Katy Perry knocked, she is clearly in a state of shock as indicated by her body language. She ducks and instinctively tries to save her vital organs by putting her hands on her chest. Once she understands the situation, she moves to the back, letting Perry through. Here, Perry handles her awkward moment pretty well. We all know how impactful the red carpet entry is and what the celebrities do to make it picture perfect. So when the legendary actress Meryl Streep was happily posing for the cameras at the Oscars, she tripped on her own dress. She quickly regained her composure and continued walking, but her body language showed that she was scared by her sudden movement as she quickly stepped away from whatever caused her to trip. Our bodies react to danger faster than the time we take to process what exactly the danger is. Trying to create an epic entry with an umbrella, Michael Keegan Key had an awkward moment. After his grand demeanor while landing down, we suddenly see him struggling to close his umbrella, which refuses to obey him. At the end, he just lets go of the umbrella and walks ahead. In these moments, his body language gives ample cues of his struggle. We see him giving a forced or controlled smile to avoid showing his embarrassment. He also blinks his eyes rapidly to process what's happening. Key's way of handling this situation is by overdoing the awkwardness, making it look more comical than awkward, in the process of saving his grace. Well done! Our beloved Jennifer Lawrence got famous at the Oscars for a very unusual thing. In one such case, she tripped while climbing the stairs to receive her Oscar and got a standing ovation. Probably dealing with the huge moment of getting an Oscar, she forgot to focus on her not so simple dress. Once on the stage, what we observe is that Jennifer is happy to receive the award but is also nervous at the same time, as revealed by her body language. She touches her chest, adjusts her dress, and then touches her face. These are all the indications of nervousness that she was experiencing. She thanks everybody for standing up, but she's still anxious as indicated by her high-pitched voice, her frequent swallowing, and her breathlessness. She is also embarrassed as she looks down when she says she fell.
Thank you. You guys are just standing up because you feel bad that I fell, and that's really embarrassing, but thank you. This is nuts. Thank you to the Academy. And thank you to the women this year. You were so magnificent and so inspiring, and not just those of you in my category, and it's been so amazing getting to know you, and you've been so nice.
Next, we have Naomi Watts, who tripped over Emma Stone's gown while accepting her award for the movie Birdman. Emma too was shocked by what just happened. Her eyes went wide as she quickly apologized and adjusted her dress. She handled the awkward moment by grabbing the mic to avoid falling as Edward held her hand. She took a moment before she spoke by touching her face and then started her thank you speech. Do you notice the way both women flick their hair? They are instinctively mirroring each other, signaling that they generally get along well. The hair flicking is actually a way of handling awkwardness. So the next time you catch someone adjusting their hair, try and notice whether they are grooming themselves or they're just relieving their stress.
Wow!
Who can forget James Franco and Annie Hathaway as hosts for the Oscars? Their not-so-great chemistry was widely reported. Let's observe their body language. An event as big as this is bound to give some of the celebrities the jitters, even though they are used to facing cameras day in and day out. Observe how both of them are touching their dresses to hide their stress, right at the moment they step onto the stage. It may look as if they were pretending to look better, but non-verbally these are signs of stress. Look at the tension and the withdrawal on the faces here. Then there's Franco looking at the ceiling, whereas Annie is looking down at the stage. Annie also says she is excited, but her non-verbal behavior says otherwise. High-pitched voices, rushed words, tense demeanor. We also see Annie constantly shifting position as she spoke, a clear sign of discomfort. One of the signs of good chemistry between hosts is some similarities in movements or some sequency in reactions. What do we see here though? Annie does ask Franco a question and looks at him, but not once does Franco look at her. Then Annie says she loves the movie The Fighter, but Franco's reaction does not go in sync with what Annie is saying. What's more is that he looks the opposite direction. Clearly no harmony in movements of the two hosts.
That's actually Mark Wahlberg, Academy Award nominee.
Yes, and we loved his film, The Fighter.
All right, it's been such a great year for Big Studio Pictures.
John Travolta is not only known for his acting, but also for his eccentric behavior at the Oscars. One such incident was pronouncing the wrong name of Idina Menzel while presenting her award. Idina took her revenge by calling John the wrong name too. By carefully observing their body language, we see that they are trying their best to interact positively, but their body language says otherwise. They are hugging each other and giving a tight, forced smile. We find John touching her face and speaking all those positive things, but both are experiencing stress. How do we know that? John is fiddling with the paper that he has in his hand, and Idina is continuously rubbing her hands. If you listen closely, you would be able to catch how high Idina's pitch goes as she tries to tackle the situation. So definitely the two were not able to handle their awkward moment at all.
Is that right?
You did it! That was so good. It's not like it's gonna follow me around for the rest of my life or anything.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Now let's focus on more interesting moments. The monumental errors that was done in the 2017 Oscar where Warren and Faye Dunaway were given a wrong envelope for the Best Picture award. Jordan is clearly overwhelmed with the announcement that his team won the Oscar. We can see him exhaling loudly a couple of times while giving his speech. When he had just finished his inspiring speech, this error comes to light by the La La Land team. Oh my god, was this so awkward. We observe some commotion happening in the background. Jordan's instinctive reaction to learning that he had been incorrectly announced the winner is to take a step back like he wishes not to be there. We also see Warren, the award announcer, extremely unsure of the awkward situation that he's been put into and freezes. That's when Jordan, the producer of La La Land, comes forward. He apologizes and asks the Moonlight cast to come on stage. We find him clarifying the real winners to everyone with effective use of body language through eyebrow raising, touching his heart region, indicating that he is in full agreement to what he is saying. Finally, he shows the card to the audience for their assurance. There is absolutely no hesitation in his movements or his voice, suggesting how able he is to command himself from being emotional about winning the award to congratulating the other team in just minutes later. All in all, this was an extremely awkward moment that was handled really well.
Moonlight, you guys won Best Picture.
Moonlight won. Come on, this is not a joke. This is not a joke. I'm afraid they read the wrong thing.
Wrong awards are not limited to the Oscars but also beauty pageants. In 2015, Steve Harvey gave the award of Miss Universe to the wrong person. Observe his body language when he is coming to apologize and correct his error. He is walking slower than normal and he's looking around. This happens when we are not very sure of what just happened. We can see how genuine he is by reflecting his hand gestures close to his heart and constantly shaking a no. Like he is unable to believe what a grave mistake he made. Clearly the ladies are not prepared and do not know what to do in such a situation. Miss Colombia has already finished her first walk as Miss Universe. After that, Miss Philippines realizes that in fact she had won the title. So she mainly phrases her reactions. We see her dazed as she walks forward. She takes her own time to get into control and doesn't show any signs of happiness at all.
It was my mistake. It was on the card. Horrible mistake, but the right thing, I can show it to you right here. The first runner-up is Colombia. It is my mistake. Still a great night. Please don't hold it against the ladies.
Over here we can see Scarlett Johansson surprised by a sudden kiss by John Travolta, who intruded onto her personal space when her attention was elsewhere. Scarlett gives enough cues to indicate that she doesn't like John Travolta's actions, but these are subtle and might miss most people's notice. Watch how she raises up her hands in defense when Travolta hugs her unannounced. This is highly instinctive and no one will be able to stop such a reaction. Scarlett turns all the way around to make sure that he is out of sight before doing anything further. Watch how her body expanded out to guard her territory, since she was taken by surprise. We see her giving a contempt smile, suggesting that she thinks his actions was beyond consideration and worthless to think of. Overall, since most of these actions are instinctive, we would want to say that Scarlett handled the situation pretty well. In the 2003 Oscars, Brody kissed Halle Berry after winning an Oscar. Halle is really shocked as indicated here. Her eyes are wide open and so is her mouth. But what's interesting is Brody's reaction. His lips are tightly shut and his body is leaning away from Berry just after the kiss. So what does this mean? Was he really involved in the kiss at all or no? Awkward moments cannot always be planned for, especially when they happen right in front of large audiences. And our reactions would be instinctive, sometimes making us freeze on the spot, sometimes resulting in us showing our stress at being caught in the awkwardness. Well, the saving grace is how we are able to tackle the situation once the initial moment passes. That's what makes for great on-the-spot thinking, a skill specially required by those who face the media day in and day out. Good luck with your next media appearance. If you liked the video, give it a big thumbs up, and if you like our content, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more updates.